guys go drive those pigs in here? All right, folks, so here's what we got here. Is over the last 2 days, my pigs who never get out, I mean, when I say never get out, they may get out once a month. A pig gets out for some reason or another. Fence is turned off, it gets knocked over, I don't know, something like that. But they don't get out. We haven't had a problem, and all of a sudden, in the last 2 days, my pigs will not stay in at all. And so I figured out what is going on. There's two things going on. The big pigs really like tree shade. They don't care for the shelters. Like I've said, the one I believe is about to farrow. Then they also pick on the little pigs when it comes to eating. The little porkalaki, the one right there with the tomato, he doesn't like to be picked on. And so what was happening is he was getting picked on by the big pigs. They weren't letting him eat. And so he was actually going through the wire, getting shocked going through the wire, and then hanging out on the outside of the wire. And so we kept having this kind of issue. So here's what we've done, is the little pigs don't mind the trash can shelters. I guess that's what I'll call them. Trash can shelters. They're not trash cans, but you know what I mean. They sound like trash cans when you move them. They don't mind them. The big pigs don't like them. And they like the shade underneath these big trees. So we're gonna put the big pigs in here right now. The little pigs will be by themselves, so they will have their own food. The big pigs won't be able to eat it. And I'm also gonna secure this edge of the fence right here with aluminum wire going down this way. Wherever I have a fence line that I've had my pigs get out from, for one reason or another, I always end up securing that with an aluminum wire. It only takes a minute to set up, and I hook it up to my fencing, and because it's aluminum wire, as soon as they touch it, it nails them. And they don't come back for any more taste of that. So that's what we're gonna do, and then we'll be done. I'm doubling the fence up right here for one reason. I'm running my hose down the middle of it, so that way I can get my hose over here for the watering, for running the sprinkler, as well as for the watering buckets. And this means my pigs won't eat my hose. So I figured I'd give you guys a little update. Things don't always work out. This is the first time we've tried this, where I've separated the pigs out and then tried to put them back together, and it didn't work out. In the past, I've left them all together, but the problem is before we butchered Dino Laki, the big, huge white and black pig, he was really rough on the piglets when it came to eating. So that's why I separated them. And yeah, I'm thinking more and more about doing that pig pasture. I am thinking more and more about it. All right, well, I'll let you know. I'll show you the feeding of the pigs in a little bit when I'm done doing this. So they've got some tomatoes in grain, and they got tomatoes in grain. Everybody's nice and happy. Everybody's got water. I think everybody's doing good. I just need to get Mama Norma from trying to come in here, because Mama Norma, you don't want anything to do with that electric fence. Trust me, sweet pea. So I'm gonna jump around a little here, sorry folks. But see this thing? This thing is such a beast. We missed it so much. I mean, it just goes anywhere. It literally just drives over anything. It'll back up over anything. It's so stinking good. All right, so let's go to my wild vegetable patch and see how my wild vegetable patch is doing. So here's our sorghum and Hopi squash patch. Got the Hopi squash over there. Sorghum's nice and tall now. It's getting real tall. There you go. Now once again, this is pretty much wild. I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything in here. This needs some water. Unless we get some rain, this is gonna die. This sorghum will go to seed, hopefully. Well, it already has gone to seed, but it's gonna die off. There's not enough moisture in the ground right here. There's enough moisture over here probably, because there's some springs coming through. This will all do pretty good, but I don't think this is gonna do good. Anyways, figured I'd give you guys a little update on the vegetable patch. All right, we're going up to Herman's to pour some concrete. See you guys in a bit. We are ready to start mixing. Thank you, Scott, for letting me borrow the mixer. We got it all set up. Got the wheel. We bent the wheel a little when we were loading it up, and so I straightened the belt wheel out. Greased everything up real good, and we got 100 bags to go. So we're going to start getting everything, start mixing, pouring. I got some farmer rebar in there, some good old fencing to sit in there It's complete overkill. I mean, it's like I'm putting like 3 inches of concrete in where I don't need 3 inches of concrete. So it'll end up being like 3.5 inches. We'll be plenty good. We'll be able to fill that whole thing with potatoes if we wanted to, and it wouldn't even flinch. But the floor is going to end up acting a lot like a foundation. The reason for the rebar around the edges is to lock that slab into these walls so we don't get any more cracking. I'm not worried about this crack over here. It's settled, but when I put this last run of cinder blocks around here, I'm gonna level the top. It's gonna be perfectly level. So my mortar line will look a little goofy on that corner over there, but it'll be fine. The other thing I'm gonna do is I have plenty of rebar. I'm gonna run a ring of rebar around the whole entire thing. I'm gonna tie it in with runs going down. I'm gonna spot weld them just to keep everything tight, so everything's not moving. That'll go around the whole entire thing and be spot welded together, and then the areas where the post or the pieces of rebar are going down, I'm gonna fill those with concrete. That's gonna tie everything together, and that'll make it so that way this never goes anywhere. This is not going anywhere. That'll be the door won't have rebar going through the top of it, but I'm gonna frame it out and it's gonna be perfect. And it's also going to be reinforced with some Simpson braces. I have to go pick some of those up. I'm not sure what I'm gonna need, so until I know what I need, I'm not gonna buy them because they've gotten really expensive. Yeah, so, and we're gonna fill in that back door with cinder blocks. But for today, we're not gonna be doing the door, we're just gonna do the pad. The pad's gonna get me to the point where I'll have a nice solid foundation in here to start working off of. Okay, all that said, just to get some work done. Let's get work done. What are you boys ready?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna have them pick up all the bags, they're gonna put them in, they're gonna mix it, and then just shovel by shovel, they're gonna take it over.
No.
I can never get them to do things the hard way. All right, this is gonna be a bit like a Mad Hatter race because this stuff sets up pretty darn quick, and I'm gonna need to keep going in there. And so I'll have plenty of time. We should be fine. I should have plenty of time. I've used it before. As long as I keep it moving, we should be good. You boys ready?
Yep.
All right. If somebody asked you to build a cabin, you'd probably say, okay, here's the tools I need. If they then turned to you and said, but you can only use a pruning saw, what would you do? You'd probably have to rethink how you would build a cabin. No longer are you thinking about, big Doug firs, 12-inch thick Doug firs for your cabin. Now you're probably thinking, well, maybe I'll be using like 6 to 8 inch little timbers. I can cut those down fairly efficiently with a pruning saw. I mean, it's not the greatest thing. I can notch them. I could probably build a log cabin with a pruning saw, but I have to go with much smaller trees. The boys are a little bit like that. The boys are not the typical instrument that you would use when you're doing farm work. We all started out very awkward. I couldn't remember how to open the bags properly. It'd been years since I did it. Clint really didn't know what he was doing. Clay, he was turning the machine on and off for me. And then we realized we really didn't need to turn the machine on and off, and he kind of lost his job. Clint realized how much water was needed for 2 bags, and so he started filling the mixer up before I'd put the bags in. So when I put the bags in, we get a lot less dust. The great part is the dust was actually blowing away from us, so it wasn't blowing in our faces, we weren't breathing it in. It looks kind of like that's what was happening, but it was all going towards the camera for the most part. And so then Clay figured out, well, I can move the wheelbarrow, and I can start shifting some of these bags around for Dad and standing them up so it's easier for him to rip them open. And we all just fell into a groove. And probably for the first time this summer, it was a well-oiled machine. And by the end of the evening, we'd done probably about 4,000 pounds of concrete was mixed. We got through about 75 bags or so, maybe 80 bags of the 100 bags we had. And we got the floor in. Going back and looking at it, it turned out pretty darn good. I'm perfectly fine with it. Now this is going to be the last kind of update for a while on the refrigerator, because there's some other projects that are going to kind of take priority. We're in fall. There's a little bit of harvesting that happens in fall, as most people know. And so it's going to be probably another month or so before we get back on the cooler. But it was really great to get a chunk of the work done. Okay, it's been a late night with the crew. It is, I don't even know, it's like 9:30 or so. It's late, yeah, probably in the 9s, yeah. It's late, we're exhausted, we got the concrete pad poured. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys later. All right, have a good night.